Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Anwar Kambatar. And for top stories, Mongolian dairy products find its niche market in Europe. Mongolians in Australia celebrate Lunar New Year, Tsagaan. And Mongolia to host 23rd Asian Physics Olympiad. And for the news, stay tuned. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, around 197,000 Mongolians reside abroad. In the following report, we will highlight a woman who produces traditional Mongolian dairy products and supplies it to her compatriots in Europe.
This is Sambo Dollar. In 2008, she moved with her family to Europe. As she was away from familiar type of products, she started learning traditional dairy technology of how to make dried curd, yogurt, and cheese. Since then, she started preparing dairy products for home consumption. In 2022, based on her personal experience, she started operating a YouTube channel where she teaches other compatriots who, like her, live abroad and away from familiar dairy products how to prepare Mongolian dairy products. She says that she even started receiving orders from other parts in Europe. At the beginning, I started researching the ingredients necessary for preparing dairy products. Of course, there are many difficulties like a different climate. For example, I live in the part of France that has quite humid climate, with plenty of rain in winter. So it was difficult to dry my aral curd. In the meantime, I studied the Mongolian market where dried curd has different varieties with different ingredients. So I started researching local markets for ingredients that can be added. People who learn from me say that they prefer to give traditional Mongolian yogurt to their children, rather than processed manufactured yogurt because of its high sugar content. This year, I have received orders for traditionally assembled dried curds that are placed at the center of the holiday table. 11 years after her departure, she came back to Mongolia to learn more about the traditional dairy technology that dates back to 15,000 years ago. Since ancient times, it was an inseparable part of diet of nomads who lived in a harsh continental climate. Nowadays, nutritionists say that eating or drinking dairy products offers health benefits like building and maintaining stronger bones.
Mongolians residing in Australia gathered in Sydney for the Tsagaan Lunar New Year celebration. The celebration featured traditional songs, a dance festival, wrestling tournament, and an ankle bone shooting contest.
The Lunar New Year is a festival that demonstrates traditions and ceremonies that have been inherited by Mongolians for hundreds of years. Following those traditions, Mongolians living in Australia celebrate the Tsagaan by greeting and paying respects to the elders.
Even though we live abroad, we have a good tradition of celebrating this festival. This festival allows us to pay respect for our elders and meet our distant relatives. Last year, our family celebrated the Lunar New Year festival in Mongolia after the COVID-19 related lockdown. We are happy to be celebrating this year's festival here in Australia.
Our family wants to wish a prosperous and successful Lunar New Year to our compatriots. During the festival, 32 wrestlers and more than 60 ankle bone shooters demonstrated their strength and skills.
I have been competing in this traditional genre of ankle bone shooting for 8 to 9 years. I'm really happy to be promoting Mongolian traditions and customs here in Australia.
Around 6,000 Mongolians currently work and study in Australia. This year's Tsagaan festival was organized by the Association of Mongolians in Australia. This year's celebration featured Mongolian traditional music performances such as the long song, a shant, Mongolian lute musical instrument, and traditional short songs. It demonstrated our musical heritage. During the festival, an exhibition of national products was organized. Children attending the festival had the opportunity to learn some traditional dances and participated in games.
According to the latest survey, in the near future, Mongolia will have a shortage of natural science teachers at secondary schools. Notably, in 10 years, schools will not have enough physics and chemistry teachers.
In order to promote the science of physics, Mongolia will host the 23rd Asian Physics Olympiad in Ulaanbaatar. The decision was made during the parliamentary session on February 20th. The Olympiad will be held in Mongolia from May 2020 to 30, and currently it is expected that over 54 professors and 140 students representing 18 countries will attend the event. The Minister of Education and Science, Inha Maglan, will lead a working group for organizing the Olympiad. Around 3.2 billion Mongolian tugrix from the state budget will be allocated towards organizing the 23rd Asian Physics Olympiad. Mongolia is to host Asian Physics Olympiad with the goal of promoting and advertising physics and to support Mongolians interested in studying physics and enable them to compete internationally.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The Mongolian national basketball team has secured the right to play in the next round of the Asian Championship. The selection competition to select the teams competing in the preliminary round of the 2025 Asian Basketball Championship is being held in Mongolia. The Mongolian national team, which won the second place in Group D of the first round of the selection process and qualified for the second round, secured the right to play in the preliminary round by beating Singapore. They beat Singapore 73-49. Dilkarnyam scored 16 points, Batutur scored 13 points, and Inkwater scored 12 points. The Mongolian national team beat Hong Kong on the first day of the competition 76-69. The national teams of Guam and Thailand have also confirmed the right to play in the preliminary round, and the four teams selected for the second round are Australia, New Zealand, China, South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, and Indonesia. Mongolia's national basketball team played a match against Guam's national team to decide the number one place in Group F. After leading by 10 points in the first half of the game, the national team lost by 1 point in the last minute after the score was tied at the end of the game due to the lack of points in the second and third quarters. Despite winning 79-81, Guam's Ernest Ross hit a long-range three-pointer to give Guam the lead in the Group F. In this match, Anand led the team with 17 points, Sancher 15, and Inkwater with 14 points. Jonathan Galloway from Guam led the team with 24 points, Ty Wesley 20 points, and Ernest Ross with 19 points. Here's the weather forecast of all major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.